Hey guys, Sean here, and it's Wednesday, and I'm just realizing this now, or actually it's going to be Thursday when I post this, but it's Wednesday when I'm doing this, and in Boston there was going to be a vote on whether or not kids under the age of 18 could attend MMA events in the city in the future, so that being the UFC, or if anyone else ever came here, and I believe, honestly, that is probably one of the dumbest, even proposed ideas ever, to ban kids under 18. There's already a law in Massachusetts that says people who are 16 and under, or maybe under 16, something like that, have to have a parent with them to go to the event. So there's already that rule in place. So to put a rule on top of it that says if you're under 18 you just can't go is insane for a couple of reasons. The least, the one that I had the biggest problem with is they were trying to get it done before last Saturday because the UFC was in Boston. And this guy was going cuckoo. But he couldn't get the vote at that time, so he had to wait. But he was trying to get it done, and it was on television, on Fox Sports 1, the new channel that just launched, meaning anyone could go home and watch it. Like, it wasn't a pay-per-view, it was just on cable. So you could watch it. And every once in a while, it's on the regular Fox channel, which is available to literally everyone if you have any sort of cable package. And then, sometimes on Fox Sports 2. Like, it's on TV. So banning them from going to the live event in Boston is not going to stop people from watching it. And, I mean, honestly, I don't want you banning anyone from going. I don't care what your age qualification is. But I truly and honestly believe that anyone at least, and I would put it way lower than this, but at least above the age of 16, or at the age of 16, should be allowed to attend whatever it is that, whatever MMA event that it is. Like, to me, there is no justifiable reason why someone 16 or 17 can't make the distinction between a sport and just going down the street and attacking an old lady. Like, there's no reason. And I'm bringing this up now, and we're probably going to go back to this because that really upsets me and drives me absolutely bonkers. But we're talking about this now because I'm reading a story on IGN, which I will link below probably, where a Connecticut politician has asked the industry to end nefarious deals with gun makers. And what he's talking about is when, companies like Activision or EA or whoever it may be, 2K, whatever, get a deal with a gun company to have that company's guns specifically in the game. So they license that company's guns to have them in the game. And he's basically saying that having, a virtual gun that is a real gun that you can actually buy, at a store or whatever, makes it hard to distinguish the difference between a virtual game and real life. Now, I don't know if it's just me or if I'm crazy, but say they had the exact model number of a handgun in the game. I don't know what gun this is. I don't know what we're talking about, but let's pretend for now that there's the exact model of the gun in the game. Does that make me any more likely to go out and buy that gun and shoot someone than if they have a gun that looks exactly the same but just doesn't say that, and I go out and buy a gun that looks sort of the same and shoot someone? Like, for example, like an M9. Like, that's a real gun. I don't know who makes it or anything about it. I'm not a gun expert. I don't claim to be. But if they called it an MMM9, I don't know. Say the real gun from the company was an M9 and they called it an MMM9. Or they didn't even call it that. They just called it, like, the Executioner or something. Like, they just called it something else. Am I any less likely to then go buy a handgun? Like, I don't know, but are you playing Call of Duty and you're like, oh, I'm going to go buy this exact gun at the store, and you go to your create a class screen, you look at the gun name, you write it down on a piece of paper, and you bring it into your local gun store and hand it to the guy? Like, is that really how it works? Like, if I was already in the mindset to go shoot someone, I'm not going to, go consult my video game to see if that's the gun I want, And for the most part, anyone who would be influenced by a video game or a movie or anything to go shoot anyone, likely would just go to the store and buy anything, because they're stupid already. Like, they're already not thinking this through, so they're probably just going to go to the store and be like, whatever, give me this one. Like, it doesn't matter. Just, that one in the glass case, please. And they probably don't have enough money to somehow acquire a military-grade rifle. Like, there's 110 reasons why this doesn't make any sense. But, this goes back to, once again, the imaginary correlation between a video game and real-life violence. And this is in Connecticut, so I'm assuming that this partially stems from Sandy Hook. Partially. Or at least that the politician, his whole life and his whole goal as a politician in the state of Connecticut previously was not related to guns. And then that happened and he got in his head that he needed to go after this. And again, I don't want to upset everyone because it seems like you can't talk about guns or anything without upsetting somebody. I don't care either way, and I would be happy to say everyone have your guns, do whatever you want, buy whatever gun you need, but I can't do that at the same time without having to say, and don't shoot anybody. Because it's like, I would let you have all your guns, but I can't trust you all to have all your guns, because somebody might go out and shoot someone with it. Or somebody will. Like, it's not might, they will. So, on one hand, I don't want to tell you you can't have your guns, because first of all, the Constitution says you can. So, first, there's a problem there. It's just not even going to be happening. And the other part is, I don't really have a problem as long as you're not crazy. And it seems like the only people who talk about it are crazy. Like, they want to have, like, fully automatic... Like, why do you need a fully automatic assault rifle? What are you doing in your house that makes you think you need a fully automatic assault rifle? Like, let's say someone breaks into your house with a gun. Do you really need to, put 30 bullets in them? Do you need 30 bullets? Like... does that even make sense? Like, you don't need a high-powered rifle. If we didn't sell high-powered rifles, you don't need one to protect yourself from the other guy's high-powered rifle. Like, sure, somebody can illegally acquire the weapon, fine. But if you manage to be that guy in your house that manages to find that guy in your town who acquired the illegal rifle, I'm sorry, dude, but you just got the worst luck in the world. You don't need one to protect yourself. But, anyway... So, I'd like to say whatever with your guns, do whatever you want, but with the reality of most people aren't that intelligent, and they will just go shoot things, I can't probably say that. But I also don't believe that a video game causes anyone to do anything. Sure, there might be someone who plays a video game, and maybe they're influenced. I will allow you to think that somebody might be influenced, but I think that person is predisposed to the idea. Like, I think that if, say, video games were never invented, but that same person watched a movie where a bunch of guns were being shot, I think they would get the same idea. And, I mean, always go back to the fact that, like, during the Civil War and, like, during, the Revolution and just, like, forever ago in, like, Egypt, like, there were people killing each other. And they weren't playing Call of Duty, and they weren't playing Grand Theft Auto. Like, they were just doing it because the natural instinct is to do it. Something about us says that we kill each other. And, as a world and society, we've tried to, like, strip that away. But, I mean, if you look at other animals, which you are an animal, you might be more intelligent than most animals, but you are. They are not tamed, and they do kill each other, and... a lot of us are in control, and we're intelligent enough species to be in control, but at the same time, there are some people who I think, no matter what you tell them, no matter what you do, they are predisposed to do something stupid. And they will do it because somewhere naturally they want to, and their just intelligence level is a little bit lower than everyone else's for one reason or another. And they just are going to do it whether they play Call of Duty or whether they watch Die Hard. Like, it's not going to matter. Some sort of violent act they will figure out. And, I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that you could beat someone to death with a hammer. Like, you don't need to see it in a movie or play it in a game to figure out that a hammer hitting someone over the head with it will hurt. Like, if I put two people in a room and I never let them out of that room their entire life, and I never told them anything, I just fed them and that was it, and I left a hammer in there, one of them, without seeing it in a movie, would figure out that I could club someone over the head with this. A monkey could figure out that you could club someone over the head with this thing. So what I'm saying is basically, games are they're not turning normal people into violent people. Movies are not turning normal people into violent people. It's people who are already predisposed to violence, who maybe get this grand idea in their head from what they saw in the game or in the movie, but you can't take it away from everyone, or regulate it, especially, because you think it is extra influence on people. you could sit 1,000 people in a room and say 500 of them were predisposed to the violent acts that I'm talking about. The video game is not going to change the other 500 who already were not predisposed to these acts, who just played this game, it was a normal day. That person's not going to walk away from Call of Duty and be like, I need to go in the middle of the street and slaughter a bunch of people. It's just not going to happen. It's just not how people work, and I'm sorry, but I also don't believe that having exact licensed guns from actual gun companies makes anyone any more likely to go buy a gun at a store. Somebody who is going to go kill people does not give a shit what brand name the gun is. They want a gun that can unload a lot of bullets quickly and do a lot of damage, probably, and even some of them might be too stupid to even think of that, and they might just buy anything. People who, take their parents' gun and, run out, they didn't research if this was the best weapon for the job. They really did not think of that. And, it goes back to my MMA part of the story, because in Boston, banning kids under the age of 18 from watching an MMA fight, I don't believe that going to a UFC fight, they are going to then proceed to walk out of the building and just start beating the shit out of someone on the side of the road. I've been fighting since I was 4.5. I have thrown one punch outside of a gym. One. And I mean one punch outside of a gym that was, in a fight. Not... I've thrown a fake punch outside of a gym, but I've hit one person outside of a gym. One punch. Uno punch. And it was because he had pushed me 3 times, was coming at me repeatedly, and I was done with being shoved. I shoved back one time, he came back at me a second time, I just kept walking, came at me a third time, and I punched him in the face. And it wasn't like a punch that was meant to injure, it was a punch that was get the fuck off me, or this is going to be an issue. You need to stop. So, considering that my one punch in my entire life that I've thrown outside of a gym, I really do not truly believe that I am any more I've been playing Grand Theft Auto since I was 5 or something, and I've been fighting since I was 4. Neither one has turned me into a homicidal maniac. So, I think both laws are stupid. I think banning specific guns is even stupider, because that doesn't even make sense to me. I don't even know how that would influence anyone. I think you have a better argument banning video games altogether than you do banning licensed guns in video games. Just doesn't make any sense. And as far as MMA goes, they're going to watch it on TV. Fighting has been in human culture forever. MMA is not new. MMA is not an original concept. It is very much just part of our history, and I think as far as our history goes when it comes to fighting, MMA is probably the safest example, because it is somewhat regulated. Yeah, you can elbow someone on the top of the head, and you're supposed to do as hard as you possibly can, but at the same time, people have been fighting for thousands of years. This is not a new concept. We did not just discover that we could beat the shit out of each other. We've been doing it forever, and at least now they do wear gloves, although they're tiny and thinly padded, I'll give you that. And the, elbows and legs are not padded in any way, but the gloves really are more to protect your hand than they are to protect your face. Just telling you, being honest with you. And, I'll agree, it's a dangerous sport, and you should probably explain that to your kids. And you should tell your kids it's a sport, and the only place you're supposed to do it is in a gym or at an event that's regulated. You're not, don't fight that fight in a parking lot that somebody set up. But you explain that to your kid, and if your kid can't comprehend it, and you see your kid running around, beating the shit out of kids on the playground, you don't let them watch the UFC until they can understand that they're not supposed to do that. But kids play football. Football's violent. You don't see them going around, tackling kids in the hallway of their preschool. It's just not what happens. And my experience is that football players are awfully violent people, and I'm not. And I don't know if that's because I'm a nice person, or because I know that I'm a dangerous person if I start throwing my fist around and I can kick you in the fucking side of the head, which is a talent that not many football players have. But my experience with getting hit has been always from football players. I've been punched multiple times and not responded. I responded that one time, and that kid's a different story for a different day. Could not stand him. Still cannot stand him, and I haven't even seen him in probably 3 years, so it's a different story. But I've been punched in the stomach, I've been punched in the face. I had my head stomped on, and I didn't respond. I just got up because I just didn't feel it was worth regulating that one. So Alright, I'm going to stop talking so I can post this with some sort of content that at least was at the beginning of this video, covering your screen so that you could be entertained and not watch a black screen. But thank you guys for watching. What do you think? I think that this law in particular about licensed guns makes no sense, but so give me your thoughts on that and just video game violence influencing people in general. I think at least here in the United States, it's protected under freedom of speech, and you can't do anything about it anyway. But if we're going to keep talking about it, what do you think? Does it influence people? You can give me your thoughts on the MMA violence thing. It's a violent sport, I'll give you that. It's dangerous, but I also don't think that you have any right to ban kids under the age of 18 from attending it. For one, you don't ban them from football and hockey games. You don't ban them from boxing. Two, it would hurt the economy of the city. And three, I think that just in general, I don't think any human is more likely to start fighting from seeing a fight than they are from watching a movie where they punch each other or whatever it may be, or watching the UFC or MMA on TV, because that is not blocked in any way, shape, or form, although John McCain did try to do it many years ago when he referred to MMA as human cockfighting in one of the stupidest statements and worst political attempts that I've ever seen, because he pretty much failed outright. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to me talk. What do you think on these topics? And I will see you all later. Check out my videos on the PS4 and Xbox at Gamescom, and bye-bye.
Charges set.